What if I told you that the most successful individuals in history weren't the loudest voices in the room, but rather the quiet observers who understood the game better than anyone else? What if the secret to exceptional performance isn't found in charismatic leadership or social networking, but in a completely different approach to life that 99% of people completely misunderstand? Welcome back to Official Sigma Male, where we decode the mysteries of authentic masculine excellence. Today, we're diving deep into something that will fundamentally change how you view success, intelligence, and personal power. We're talking about the hidden genius of Sigma men and why they consistently outperform everyone around them, often without anyone even realizing it. You see, while alpha males are fighting for the spotlight and beta males are following the crowd, there's a third category of men who have figured out something profound about human nature, success, and the art of winning without playing by conventional rules. These are the Sigma males, the lone wolves who have cracked the code of excellence through a completely different operating system. But here's what's fascinating. Society has been programmed to only recognize two types of men: the dominant alpha who commands attention and the submissive beta who seeks approval. This binary thinking has created a massive blind spot, causing people to completely overlook the most strategically intelligent men among us. The Sigma males, who are quietly building empires, solving complex problems, and achieving extraordinary results while everyone else is distracted by social theater. Think about the most groundbreaking innovations of our time. The internet, revolutionary companies that changed entire industries, breakthrough scientific discoveries. Time and again, when you look behind the curtain, you'll find that the real architects of progress weren't the charismatic figureheads everyone remembers, but the quiet, intensely focused individuals who saw patterns others missed, who thought differently, and who had the courage to pursue their vision regardless of social approval. This isn't about being antisocial or avoiding people. This is about understanding a fundamental truth that most men never grasp. True power comes not from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. Not from being the center of attention, but from being the center of your own universe. Not from following the established hierarchy, but from creating your own path entirely. The Sigma male represents something that goes against everything modern society teaches about success. While everyone else is playing checkers, competing for positions in predetermined hierarchies, the Sigma male is playing chess on a completely different board. He's not trying to climb the ladder. He's building his own ladder, often in places where others don't even realize there's a mountain to climb. What makes this even more remarkable is that Sigma males achieve their extraordinary results through methods that seem almost contradictory to conventional wisdom. They succeed through solitude rather than networking. They gain influence through independence rather than alliance building. They develop deep expertise through obsessive focus rather than broad social interaction. They make breakthrough discoveries through contrarian thinking rather than consensus seeking. But perhaps most importantly, they understand something about human psychology that gives them an almost unfair advantage in every area of life. They figured out that the most powerful position in any system is not at the top of the hierarchy, but outside of it entirely. When you're not competing for approval, you're free to pursue excellence. When you're not limited by group thinking, you can see solutions that others miss. When you're not dependent on others for validation, you can take risks that others won't. This is why throughout history, the individuals who have made the most significant contributions to human progress have often been misunderstood loners. They were the ones who questioned everything, who spent years in solitary pursuit of their craft, who weren't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom, and who had the mental fortitude to persist when everyone else gave up. The strategic solitude. Advantage. Here's something that will completely revolutionize how you think about success. While everyone else is burning energy on social networking, office politics, and trying to be liked by everyone, the Sigma male has discovered the ultimate competitive advantage: strategic solitude. This isn't about being antisocial or avoiding people out of fear. This is about understanding that your most powerful moments, your greatest breakthroughs, and your most valuable insights come when you're alone with your thoughts, free from the noise and distractions of the crowd. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you had a truly original idea while you were in a group? When was the last time you solved a complex problem while surrounded by other people's opinions and expectations? The truth is, genuine innovation requires mental space that simply doesn't exist in social environments. The Sigma male understands this at a cellular level, and he structures his life accordingly. Let me give you a concrete example. While his competitors are spending hours every day in meetings, networking events, and social media interactions, the Sigma entrepreneur is alone in his office, deeply analyzing market trends, identifying gaps that others miss, and developing strategies that seem to come out of nowhere. When his product launches and dominates the market, people call it luck or genius. But the real secret was strategic solitude, the deliberate choice to trade social validation for intellectual clarity. This advantage manifests in several critical ways. First, there's the elimination of groupthink. When you're constantly surrounded by other people's ideas and opinions, your brain stops generating original thoughts. It becomes easier to adopt consensus thinking than to challenge it. The Sigma male avoids this trap entirely by spending significant time alone, allowing his mind to wander, question, and explore ideas without external influence. Consider how the greatest scientific discoveries were made. Einstein didn't develop the theory of relativity in a crowded laboratory surrounded by colleagues. He developed it during long, solitary walks, in quiet moments of reflection, when his mind was free to make connections that others couldn't see. Tesla didn't invent alternating current during team brainstorming sessions. He developed his ideas in solitude, away from the limitations of conventional thinking. The second advantage is emotional regulation. In solitude, you learn to manage your emotional state without depending on external validation or distraction. Most people are emotional slaves to their environment. Their mood depends on how others treat them, their confidence fluctuates based on social feedback, and their decisions are influenced by the need to maintain social harmony. The Sigma male, through strategic solitude, develops emotional independence that becomes a massive competitive advantage. Think about how this plays out in business negotiations. While others are trying to read the room, manage relationships, and avoid conflict, the Sigma male is purely focused on the objective outcome. He's not worried about being liked or maintaining social connections. He's not distracted by emotional manipulation or social pressure. This clarity of purpose and emotional detachment allows him to make decisions that others can't make, to see opportunities that others miss, and to act decisively when others are paralyzed by social considerations. The third advantage is deep processing capability. In our hyper-connected world, most people's brains are constantly switching between tasks, responding to notifications, and processing surface-level information. They never develop the ability to think deeply about complex problems. The Sigma male, through strategic solitude, develops what psychologists call deep work capability, the ability to focus intensely on cognitively demanding tasks for extended periods. This isn't just about productivity. This is about developing a completely different type of intelligence. When you can think deeply about problems for hours without distraction, you start seeing patterns and connections that others miss. You develop solutions that seem impossible to those who only think in fragments. You create value that others can't replicate because they don't have the mental discipline to engage with complex problems at the required depth. Let me share a practical example. While most people check their phones every few minutes, respond to emails throughout the day, and participate in countless meetings and social interactions, the Sigma male blocks out large chunks of time for uninterrupted thinking. He might spend an entire morning analyzing a single problem, turning it over in his mind, exploring different angles, and developing comprehensive solutions. By the time he re-enters social interactions, he's operating from a completely different level of understanding. The fourth advantage is authentic self-development. In social environments, people develop based on what gets rewarded by the group. They become skilled at reading social cues, managing impressions, and playing political games. These skills have some value, but they're ultimately limiting because they're reactive. They depend on external circumstances and other people's approval. The Sigma male, through strategic solitude, develops from the inside out. He identifies his genuine strengths and weaknesses without social distortion. He develops skills based on their objective value rather than their social acceptability. He builds character traits that serve his long-term goals rather than his short-term social needs. This creates a foundation of authentic confidence that can't be shaken by social dynamics. Consider how this manifests in career development. While others are networking, playing office politics, and trying to impress their bosses, the Sigma male is alone, mastering his craft, developing rare skills, and creating value that speaks for itself. When promotion opportunities arise, he doesn't need to campaign or politic. His results speak louder than any social maneuvering. The fifth advantage is strategic perspective. When you're constantly immersed in social dynamics, you lose the ability to see the bigger picture. You become reactive to immediate social pressures rather than proactive about long-term strategic goals. The Sigma male, through regular solitude, maintains a bird's-eye view of his life and circumstances. He can see patterns and trends that others miss because he's not caught up in the day-to-day social drama. This strategic perspective allows him to make decisions that seem counterintuitive to others, but prove to be brilliant over time. He can identify emerging opportunities before they become obvious. He can avoid pitfalls that others fall into because they were too focused on immediate social concerns to see the bigger picture. But here's the key point that most people miss. Strategic solitude isn't about isolation or avoiding people entirely. It's about being intentional about when and how you engage with others. The Sigma male chooses his social interactions based on their value and alignment with his goals. He's not antisocial, he's selectively social. He engages with people when it serves a purpose, but he protects his mental space and energy for the deep thinking that creates real value. This strategic approach to solitude becomes a multiplier effect for every other aspect of life. When you master the art of productive solitude, you become more effective in your social interactions because you're bringing genuine value rather than just seeking validation. You become more creative because your mind has space to make unexpected connections. You become more confident because your sense of self isn't dependent on constant external feedback. The Sigma male's strategic solitude advantage is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of his success. Society has been conditioned to view solitude as loneliness or antisocial behavior, but the truth is that strategic solitude is the foundation of exceptional performance. It's where breakthrough ideas are born, where character is developed, where authentic confidence is built, and where the clarity of vision emerges that allows someone to see opportunities that others miss. Pattern recognition mastery. While everyone else reacts to events as they happen, the Sigma male sees patterns that predict what's coming next. This learnable skill combines strategic solitude with systematic observation, giving him supernatural ability to anticipate opportunities and avoid pitfalls that blindside others. The most successful people aren't just skilled at executing tasks. They see what others miss. They recognize patterns in market behavior, human psychology, and social dynamics that allow advantageous positioning while others are still figuring out what's happening. The average person processes information reactively, responding to immediate stimuli without connecting to broader patterns. The Sigma male constantly looks for connections between seemingly unrelated events, tracking trends across multiple domains simultaneously. This systematic approach allows him to see opportunities and threats long before they become obvious. While most entrepreneurs focus on immediate competitors and current conditions, the Sigma entrepreneur tracks technological trends, demographic shifts, and cultural movements. He's positioning himself for the market that will exist in 3 to 5 years, the independence multiplication effect. Here's what sets the Sigma male apart from every other type of man. He's discovered that true power comes not from controlling others, but from being completely independent of their approval, validation, and support. This isn't just emotional independence, it's strategic independence that multiplies every other advantage he possesses. Most men are unknowingly trapped in dependency cycles. They need approval from bosses, validation from peers, support from networks, and acceptance from society. These dependencies create invisible chains that limit their potential and force them to make decisions based on others' expectations rather than optimal outcomes. The Sigma male breaks these chains systematically. He develops financial independence so he can make decisions based on logic rather than survival fears. He develops emotional independence so his confidence doesn't fluctuate based on others' opinions. He develops intellectual independence so his thinking isn't constrained by consensus or social pressure. This independence creates a multiplication effect. When you're not limited by others' approval, you can pursue opportunities that others won't touch. When you're not constrained by conventional thinking, you can develop solutions that others can't imagine. When you're not dependent on existing systems, you can create entirely new systems that others must then adapt to. Contrarian thinking breakthroughs. The Sigma male has mastered something that gives him an almost unfair advantage: contrarian thinking. While everyone else follows the crowd, accepts conventional wisdom, and thinks within established frameworks, the Sigma male systematically questions everything and develops insights that seem impossible to those trapped in consensus thinking. This isn't about being different for the sake of being different. It's about understanding that the crowd is wrong about most things most of the time, and that the greatest opportunities exist in the gaps between what people believe and what's actually true. The Sigma male approaches every situation by first asking, what does everyone else believe about this? Then he asks, what if the opposite were true? This systematic contrarian approach allows him to identify opportunities that others miss because they're blinded by conventional wisdom. Consider how this works in investing. While everyone else follows popular trends and buys what financial media recommends, the Sigma male looks for assets that are undervalued because they're misunderstood or temporarily out of favor. He profits from the difference between perception and reality, while others lose money following the crowd. In business, while others compete in crowded markets using accepted strategies, the Sigma male finds entirely new approaches that make competition irrelevant. He doesn't try to beat others at their own game. He creates new games with different rules, silent influence, and deep work mastery. The Sigma male has discovered that the most powerful form of influence isn't loud, charismatic. Leadership. Its silent influence through exceptional competence and deep work mastery. While others are trying to influence through personality and politics, the Sigma male influences through results that speak louder than any words. Deep work mastery means the ability to focus intensely on cognitively demanding tasks for extended periods without distraction. In our hyper-connected world, this has become a superpower because most people have lost the ability to think deeply about complex problems, while others are constantly interrupted by notifications, meetings, and social obligations. The Sigma male protects his mental space fiercely. He creates environments where deep thinking is possible and uses this capability to solve problems that others can't even approach. This deep work capability allows him to create value that others can't replicate. When you can think deeply about problems for hours without distraction, you develop solutions that seem impossible to those who only think in fragments. You create innovations that others can't reverse engineer because they don't have the mental discipline to engage with complex problems at the required depth. Self-validation and unshakable confidence. The ultimate advantage of the Sigma male is his ability to validate himself based on his own standards rather than external approval. This creates unshakable confidence that doesn't fluctuate based on others' opinions or social circumstances. Most people's confidence is fragile because it depends on external validation. When others approve of them, they feel confident. When others criticize them, they doubt themselves. This external dependency makes them easy to manipulate and limits their ability to take risks or pursue unconventional paths. The Sigma male develops internal validation systems. He judges his own performance based on objective criteria and personal standards, rather than social feedback. This creates confidence that remains stable regardless of external circumstances. This self-validation ability allows him to pursue long-term goals that others abandon when they face criticism or social pressure. He can work on projects for years without external recognition because his motivation comes from internal standards rather than social approval. When you combine self-validation with all the other Sigma advantages, strategic solitude, pattern recognition, independence, contrarian thinking, and deep work mastery, you create a compound effect that makes extraordinary results almost inevitable. The hidden genius of Sigma men isn't just about individual success. It's about understanding a completely different approach to excellence that can transform every area of your life. While society continues to worship at the altar of extroversion and social climbing, the real innovators, the real value creators, the real game changers are operating from a fundamentally different paradigm. This isn't about becoming antisocial or avoiding all human interaction. It's about understanding that your greatest strength might not be your ability to fit in, but your ability to stand apart. Your greatest contribution might not come from following the crowd, but from having the courage to walk your own path. Your greatest achievements might not come from competing in other people's games, but from creating entirely new games that others didn't even know existed. The men who understand this principle don't just succeed, they redefine what success means. They don't just achieve their goals, they achieve things that others thought were impossible. They don't just make money, they create entire industries. They don't just solve problems, they solve problems that others didn't even realize needed solving. If you're ready to unlock this hidden genius within yourself, to stop playing by rules that were designed to keep you ordinary, and to start developing the kind of strategic thinking that sets true leaders apart from followers, then you need to subscribe to Official Sigma Male right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're just getting started on this journey of transformation. The content we share here isn't just theory, it's practical wisdom that can completely reshape your approach to life, business, relationships, and personal development. Every video is designed to help you think differently, act strategically, and achieve results that others will find impossible to explain. Don't just watch this content, implement it. Don't just understand these concepts, live them. The difference between ordinary men and extraordinary men isn't talent or luck. It's the willingness to think independently and act according to your own internal compass rather than external expectations. Subscribe now and let's continue this exploration of what it really means to be a Sigma male in today's world.